Becoming is better than being, and that is why we consider ourselves to be a work in progress. It means that you are never complete, and you always have the opportunity of becoming something and someone much, much better.
Yes, indeed. It allows you the ability to be comfortable with making mistakes and accepting yourself for who you are.
We are work in progress. Hi, I'm Anna.
Hi, I'm AX.
And I am Chris M. Welcome to today's show, guys.
Hi, guys.
So today, as you can see, GK is not here, and I don't know how to feel about it. I'm kind of happy. So GK, where you are, I hope you're okay, but stay there for a few more days. That being said, we're going to jump into today's show, and before we start with the icebreaker, which AX is going to lead us through the icebreaker. AX?
All right, so this is one of the icebreakers that is a favorite amongst the panelists. It is called categories. I am going to give you guys a category, and we have to just like run through how many things we can name in that category until there's one person left standing.
Okay.
Are you ready for the first category?
Ready.
Which way are we going?
Let's do this way.
Okay.
So I'm first?
Yeah, you're first.
Okay.
Famous wrestlers.
The Rock.
Brock Lesnar.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mankind.
Matt Cardona.
The Undertaker.
Goldberg.
Gilbert.
I don't know.
Cena. John
No,
Cena.
yes, between you and I now.
Okay, John Cena.
Triple H.
Chris Jericho.
Christian.
Fudge. Okay, that's it. But, okay.
Okay.
Trying to think of all the video games I played.
Okay, number 2, sports movies.
What?
I know.
Sports movies.
Sports movies. It's almost like this round of categories was perfectly calibrated to benefit one particular person. We won't reference who. We won't reference who's going to benefit. Anyway, sports movies.
Okay, I'm starting?
Yeah.
Coach Carter.
You win.
I haven't even.
No, I'm out. So it's between
Okay,
the two. I'm out.
What's that one with Will Smith and it's about the Serena Williams things? The King and I think, but that seems wrong.
That's not right. The King and I.
I don't know what it's called. It's a Williams. Oh, yeah,
So
I
you
give
also
up.
lose.
I give up. I don't know any sports
Anna,
movies.
you've won that one.
The Blind
Clearly,
Side. Remember
it was
remember
just for
the
you. This segment was for you.
Okay, segment number 3. African dictators. Caveat: they must have served at least 15 years.
What?
So do I go
That's
first?
hard to figure
No,
out.
Oh,
let's keep the rules the same.
Okay.
Gaddafi?
Museveni.
The guy from Equatorial Guinea. I don't know his name, but I know he's been in power for a while.
Who?
Teodros Obiang something from Equatorial Guinea. Very sure about that.
I don't
There's a
need the
picture on your
producer to
screen
give you
because he
that.
exists.
Idi Amin? Was that 15 years? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
We're going
She's
with
very
this.
sure about that. Yes. No, wait, no.
don't know.
No.
Has it not been
I don't
15
think it
years?
was 15
It
years.
wasn't 15 years. It was less than 15.
Okay, so you?
So you thought she's lost?
So I'm out?
Yeah.
So it's,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I should have gone with the other guy.
3, 2, 1.
Me, Moy.
The Cameroonian also. That guy from
Bia,
Cameroon.
his name?
Bia,
Bia.
Paul Bia. Mobutu Sese Soko Demenanamana. That guy.
That guy.
That guy.
The Somali guy is called the guy who was overthrown, and then now this whole conflict in Somalia. I forget his name. But
Somehow.
is that a draw?
I mean,
I forgot
What's
his
the
name.
name? What's the name?
She began by saying Equatorial Guinea guy. So that's why I'm
You
playing
guys.
her. I'm using her rules.
fine, it's a draw.
I should be allowed back in just because they're not giving names.
Okay, the next person is Kenyan sports legends. I'm just going to remove myself from this round. Spare myself the embarrassment.
Wanyama?
Yeah.
Wow. Lani, the rugby guy. Ham Kayange.
Kipchoge.
Kip Keino.
Oh, what's that other football player? The one, he starts with an M. He's a very famous football player. Back in the day. No, Wanyama.
The brother to Wanyama.
I don't know.
He took too long, Smarega.
Very good.
Yeah, that's the elder brother to Wanyama.
So,
Okay, I did not know.
yeah.
So I've won.
Okay.
I mean, okay.
Oh my
So this is the
goodness.
last category.
GK.
Why
I
would
mean,
you-
there was some bias in the selections, but okay.
You know what? Out of all the options I have, they all suck. The only person that's going to win the next round might be Chris M. Ooh, okay, fine. Great orators, people who are very good at public speaking. You can use your discretion.
Around the world.
Around the world, so it says. There's no limit.
Okay, Malcolm X.
PLO Lumumba.
MLK.
Hitler.
Oh my God.
Had to go there. He is a great orator.
Mussolini.
No! Fine, Lenin.
MLK.
I said MLK.
Did you?
I did.
No.
I
Yeah,
did.
you're out.
Me.
And I had a list.
Uhuru Kenyatta.
Professor Mutahi Ngunyi.
Barack Obama.
Michelle Obama.
JFK.
Mrs. JFK.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
FDR.
Mrs. FDR.
Nelson Mandela.
Winnie Mandela.
Come on.
You cannot just pick the
guys.
female
Let's go.
version of
Fine.
everyone.
Are they good
No,
orators?
fine. Jacinta Ardern.
Their husband.
What's his name? What's his name?
He's really not. And I think
What?
his
What's
name is
his
either
name?
Clark or Clive. I should get something for that.
Yeah.
Superman.
What? Fine.
No.
Batman.
Okay, you win. Okay, you win. I was trying to cheat, but okay, you win. Let's
What
just
does
go.
Batman say other than I'm Batman? Like what else?
It's very effective. That's a small thing you say.
Something along the lines of like Gotham deserves my kind of justice or something. He's a very dark emo kid. Batman is.
Okay.
we have some words, but okay.
I think we are all warmed up.
Yes.
So we jump into today's conversation. X, you're going to lead that.
I
please.
am. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So, do you guys know it's time for the Winter Olympics?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, with figure
just found
skating
it.
and the bobsledding and the skiing and all these fun things.
And the curling.
Oh my God.
It's a Western Olympic.
If you haven't watched
Pretty
curling,
much,
watch
yeah.
it
Yeah.
purely for just listen to the audio of it. It's hilarious.
So, and in this Olympics, as with other Olympics in the past, we've had another doping scandal. This time, courtesy of Russia again, and specifically an Olympian athlete named Kamila Valieva, who's a 15-year-old ice figure dancer,
Skater.
thank you, person. Now, when she did like this incredible quadruple spin turn in the air, she got tested immediately afterwards, and the Olympics committee found that she had been doping. She had been using, I think, a various hormone to help improve her endurance. And that's really important for ice skating because you need endurance and you need strength to do those really intricate jumps. So, it got me thinking, this is not the first time you've heard of doping in the Olympics, it's not the first time you've heard of doping in sports, and it definitely won't be the last. So given that doping is just now a part of sports, something you just have to factor in, what should we do about it? Should we just have an Olympics that allows everyone to dope to see what we can really do? And that's where the discussion will end up. But first, tell me, what do you guys think about doping? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you think it ruins the spirit of the game?
Do I go first?
Go ahead.
I don't think doping is part of sports, but sportsmen have been doping. So there's an element of doping in sports. As to whether we should allow doping to be part of sports, I think no, because sports all about human endurance, human beings testing themselves, and then the best amongst us coming out and being rewarded. So us saying that we should allow doping is kind of a defeatist mentality.
Okay.
We're just saying, yeah, sure, you're doing it, so let's just allow it. I think there should be more stringent testing, heavier punishment if you're found to be doping, and even lifetime bans for those people who are found to be doping, and a very big fine to the nation in which that athlete is from,
that's
in the Olympics or in any other sports. That's one way of trying to curtail doping in sports, in my view. That's my first submission.
Anna, what do you think?
Okay, so the obvious answer would be no, because I'd look at more so the health benefits to these players long term. So while they have that benefit of they're going to win prizes, they're going to bring status to their countries, 20 years down the road, they're going to have cardiovascular problems, they're going to have major hormonal changes, spinal issues. So that, I think, for me is one of the major things of why I wouldn't go for doping, is just because that short-term benefit of winning a medal might not really mean anything when you're in the hospital suffering from some kind of major disease.
Okay. All right. Okay. So how about if I phrase the question in this way?
Okay.
Already in sports, there is sports are, I know sports are supposed to be fair, they're supposed to be equal, everyone gets the same opportunity, the same chance to be number one. But we already know from biology and like all this genetic testing that if you have certain genes, you're better at certain sports. Like I know there's a particular gene that helps you be better at enduring long distances, which makes you a better marathon runner.
The ACE gene.
Thank you, ACE gene. There are other genes that help you, better retain muscle, that help you get stronger, that help you recover faster. So what if doping is a way to paper over those inequalities? Because not everyone has those genes, and that creates an unfair advantage. So what if doping is a way to level the competition, level the playing field? What do you guys think?
Level it for who? For the guys who don't have that gene.
Yeah.
Don't participate in that sport. We know Kenyans, traditionally, Kenyans are not the best at short distance races. Actually, Africa as a whole. We only have, I think, the western part of Africa. They're able to do those short bursts, but not the long distance races. Stick to what you're good at. Leave the rest to those who can do that thing. Because with doping, okay, I have this gene or this hormone, which is advantageous to me. You've been training for X number of years, and then you add on an extra advantage now. Because this one I've grown up with it. If I don't, I mean, do you want it to be that equal that you're injecting things into people so that they can compete? No. I don't know, I'm debating that thing in my mind right now.
Let's say if we looked at, okay, Kenyan runners are better at long distance because of the environment, your lung capacity, all that stuff. And if you use that alone, if you don't have the genetic advantage, you don't do it. How fun would it be to watch? Because essentially you're going to be watching what Kenyans, Ethiopians run against each other, and that's it. There's not going to be other countries that are involved. And then how fun will the Olympics be?
It's very fun. Right now I enjoy watching it because I love
the two
watching
of
white
them.
men falling and not being able to complete those races. That's part of the appeal of a marathon. But before Kenyans and Ethiopians were dominating, white men were winning as well, right?
Yeah, it's because we weren't playing. They didn't let us play.
Yeah. So
They knew.
And see, if you look at the time between the best time ever run in the Olympics and that race rather, and the time that a white man used to run, yeah, there's a gap, but it's not all that big. It's not like it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes now.
No, but
so they can still compete.
No, but here's the thing, in sports, it's not necessary. It's not like the magnitude is much smaller. We're not talking about minutes or hours. We're talking about nanoseconds.
And now you're talking about injecting synthetic things into these people. How much more of an advantage will that have over the natural good stuff that I have in my body?
Okay.
You need to question that as well.
All right, okay.
And the health benefits as well, and risks rather.
Okay, so what if I told you that doping has always been a part of sports? That it wasn't until the 1960s that all these international organizations came together, citing the health effects of like steroids in particular, and decided we need to stop doping in order to preserve the health of our athletes. In light of that knowledge, should we just go back to a sporting culture that not only accepts doping as a part of the way things are done, but also as just a way things are done? I did not know where that question was going, but I landed.
Okay, well, if you look at bodybuilding, for example, so, okay, the use of steroids is crazy in bodybuilding. I mean,
And
look at those
testosterone.
massive people, that's steroids. But it's kind of those things that are known but just not talked about is those people are using steroids. The reason it's sort of accepted but not talked about is because in bodybuilding, you're going there to see the extent to which you can grow your muscles, right? Past human expectations and everything. So because people are paying to see people exceed that limit, companies know they're going to sponsor Crescem to bodybuild, even though he's going to use steroids, but it's okay because that's the point of that sport. It's allowed because that's what you're looking for. So if we consider our definition of what sporting is, can it then change? Because, for example, I was looking at what WADA calls the spirit of sport.
Yes.
I'll quickly run through them. They say...
Oh wait, so, what does WADA stand for?
World
Anti-Doping Agency.
There we go.
There we go. There's ethics, fair play and honesty. Health, performance excellence, character and education, fun and joy, teamwork, dedication and commitment, respect for the rules and laws, and that kind of stuff, right? And so when you find out someone like Lance Armstrong was doping, you feel you feel cheated, right? You feel like he was being dishonest. But that's because there's honesty in what sportsmanship is considered. So if we made doping legal and you can be honest about it, will you feel cheated if you knew?
Yes, I'll say yes because you can't compare a country like Kenya to Russia, right? So you'll now introduce new ways of cheating, and the parity, you'll never get to parity. So Russia are doing something known as blood doping.
Yeah.
They take your blood, refrigerate it, some other things, right?
We oxygenate it and pump it
Then
back,
pump it back into your system. Do we have that time, money, technology in Kenya to do that? Question.
But if it was legalized, would you not then, I'm sure like WADA, all these sports agencies will be able to standardize the kind of doping you do. So you're not going to probably do those super extreme dangerous things. They'll say, okay, these are the kinds of doping you're allowed. These are the things you're allowed to use. It becomes standardized. Countries are then allowed to get to a certain point. If Russia is going and doing something extreme, that's not allowed. Then they can still be kicked out.
So it's funny
But
how
you standardize it.
it's funny how
Oh, God.
when we're expecting people to be honest,
No
and
sentence.
these people are not honest, they are cheating, right?
Then you can
Now,
pick them up
you want to
because
bring
you've
in-
tried everything.
You want to bring in cheating and
Not
think that they'll
cheating.
be
No, no, no,
genuine.
Cheating is only cheating if it's illegal.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But if it's legal, it's not
My
cheating.
point is this: right now, they are cheating when they're expected to be honest. Now you're bringing in cheating, which is legal cheating, and you're expecting them to be honest. No. If today we say stealing in Kenya is allowed, but you can steal up to 1 million shillings. Do you think thieves will steal up to 1 million? No, they'll now steal 2 million or 3 million or 4 million. It's you, the honest person, who will be, oh, okay, now let me steal only 1 million because the law allows. You're just simply taking the law, what's legal, and extending the
that's the
parameter.
wrong
I
example, though.
I don't think that's what it is. I think you guys need to remember that, okay, let's think of doping as a crime against sports, right?
Yes.
And for the most part, crimes are a matter of opportunity, right? It's why, for example, like I believe we will never have a self-checkout aisle in any Kenyan supermarket, because having used a self-checkout aisle myself, I know how easy it is, how tempting it is to just put something in your bag and not pay for it, right? And don't look at me like that. It's a very strong temptation.
What were you doing?
And cheese is expensive, okay?
I'll take a look at your desk. Maybe there are a couple of things you didn't, but I'll leave it there. Let's just continue.
Let me give an example of someone that was looking into the doping thing in sports.
Yeah.
His name is Kay Haugen, and he used the prisoner's dilemma to look at what options athletes would have when dealing with their option to either dope or get the or win, basically. And what he basically came to was, unless the likelihood of athletes getting caught for doping, the risk is like super high. So if you get caught, you're imprisoned or something. Unless that's super high, or the payoffs for winning are ridiculously low, which you might not even think, okay, what's the point of winning? Unless those two happen, people will still always cheat. Like, he did that whole simulation, and he's like, if these things don't change, everyone will always end up cheating.
I wonder if it's because like the incentives are so high. Because like if you
Very
win,
high.
you are a national hero. You are beloved everywhere. You get medals and money and women and houses and all these things. And if you lose,
Let me give you this example of Mohamed Salah and Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not saying they dope. I'll just use them as an
you don't
example.
know.
Yes,
You
I
don't
don't know. These people, they are some of the highest paid footballers in the world. Cristiano earns almost $500,000. This is dollars every week.
what?
Yes. But he gets more money doing endorsements and all the Instagram posts, and even Mohamed Salah, he earns more outside the sport, and he gets, I think, like 280,000 pounds a week, but he earns more outside the sport than he does in the sport. Now, he does that because he's such a good footballer and he can perform very well on the pitch that he gets a lot more money outside.
Okay.
Now, I think we as a people are also to blame for the increased cases of doping, because we demand more from our athletes. We want, right now, if Bolt runs 9.5 seconds, we are very happy. But then the next person, we want him to run 9.4, something like that. And it's normal for us to want to better ourselves. Now, maybe the human body naturally can't do that. Maybe. So this person, because he wants all the glory that comes with being the best athlete, he will try and cheat or do something to give himself that competitive edge, that advantage. And this sometimes might lead these athletes to do these doping things and all these nonsense. So athletes are to blame. The cutthroat nature of sports is to blame, and the glory hunting. You see, in Kenya, let me put this last point. In Kenya, for you to qualify, it's almost a foregone conclusion that if you represent Kenya in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, you're bringing in the medals. It's almost a foregone conclusion.
You have to.
Yes, we are that good that in the world championships and in the Olympics, we almost always do a clean sweep. So the cutthroat nature of that sport in Kenya, when you're doing our qualifiers, might lead us, a fellow Kenyan to want to dope to get an extra advantage over their fellow Kenyan who is also that good, so that he gets into the Olympic team or the World Championship team.
Okay.
So I think competition might also be
Okay.
a reason.
So in light of everything we've discussed today, I have one last question for each of you, including myself. Would you consider doping for yourself?
No, mainly just because health benefits. And I don't know if I know how to even do these things, to be honest. I think I'm too sheltered to know. I don't know.
The truth is, if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough.
So yes.
That's my answer.
But that's
if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard
But I
enough.
asked a yes or no question, so.
And I answered you, if you're not cheating,
But
you're not
that's
trying
not a
hard
Yes
yes
or
or
no.
no. Yes or no.
Yes
We
or
want
no.
yes or
What's
no.
the question?
Okay, we'll be back.
On to the next segment.
We'll be back.
And we're back on work in progress. By the way, my answer was yes. Yes, I would.
Thank you for
I would.
clarifying.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
So now we'll move to our last segment, which again will be led by AX.
I'm getting a lot of screen time when GK isn't around. You know what? Stay there a couple extra days just for me. Just for me. Anyway, so on the subject of sports today, we're going to move away from the athletes and talk about the organizations or the coaches or the people that run and govern those athletes' lives. Now, not every organization is made equal. Some are worse than others. And today, we're going to be talking about the dictators of sports. Your FIFAs, your NBAs, I'm running out of organizations.
All those
Just
things.
all of them, right?
Yes.
Now, each of us have come up with a particular dictator of sport that we believe to be the worst. And we will try to convince the rest of the panel to agree with us. Chris M,
Yes.
why don't you begin?
So I'll start by putting a caveat and say the sport I want to talk about is not an actual sport.
It's sport.
It's known as sports entertainment, yeah, because it's predetermined. So for those who don't know, I'm talking about the WWE, it's World Wrestling Entertainment, yeah. So this company is run by a gentleman by the name of Vince Kennedy McMahon. He's a billionaire, of course, and
Of course.
yeah, he's a billionaire. He's loaded. So this guy, I'll give you a brief history. His father used to run the WWF in New York. So back then, wrestling was more regional. So every place in America had their own wrestling thing. And the father went around shaking the hands of every promoter, telling them, "I will never compete with you. I will never compete with you. Blah blah. We'll always collaborate." When the father died and the company went over to Vince McMahon, he did the exact same thing that his father said he will not do. He competed and ran all these other small promotions out of business. And he would go buying them to a point where he became a monopoly. Like he was
Isn't he still a monopoly? Like WWE?
yeah, I mean more or less, but now there's a new company called AEW, and at least it's given wrestlers another place they can go to and earn good money. So wrestlers in WWE are not employees, and they are known as independent contractors.
Yes.
So they are not entitled to medical cover.
What?
They're not paid medical cover, transport expenses, leave. They're not given those. They are not paid overtime. According to the law, employees are the ones who are supposed to get that, but
those
they're
protections.
independent contractors. But then there's a law that determines and governs and says who is an independent contractor. I'll read you those 2 points. It says you have to be paid by the project, not hourly, weekly, or monthly. You provide your own tools, equipment, and materials. You are free, this is the big point, you are free to perform services or work for other clients.
Okay.
I won't even go on to the
And I'm
the rest.
assuming, like in WWE, the wrestlers are not free.
They're not. They're signed to exclusive contracts where you only perform for the WWE and the brands that they have. So they have Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, they have NXT and some other ones. So you only wrestle in those brands, so you're not free. And They are not giving you your own material. You're given the material that you have to work with. They're giving you everything. They pay you they pay you weekly, so it's not even by the project. So they are infringing on all these rights here. But they still get to classify their athletes as independent contractors. Now the sad part is a cameraman in WWE is an employee.
So they earn more, they have better benefits.
They have benefits, they have everything. An announcer is an employee, but the people who are risking their lives every day, going onto the ring, putting that whole spectacle, injuring themselves, some of them even dying in the ring. He used to force his athletes back in the day to inject themselves with steroids. There's a guy by the name of Lex Luger. If you see his photo when he was an active athlete versus now, you'd be ashamed. So for me, Vincent Kennedy McMahon is one of the biggest dictators in world sports.
All right, Anna, the floor is yours. Can you beat Vince McMahon?
Well, okay, I'm taking all entities, hopefully.
Okay.
So earlier this month we had the Super Bowl. So I felt inspired to look into the NFL and exactly the ways in which they're, one of the things we've recently known about the NFL, especially since 2020, has been their racial inequality. So I wanted to look a bit into that.
Wait, hang on. What does the NFL stand for?
The National Football League.
Like football? I'm a football.
Gridiron football, right?
American football, not soccer. Yeah. So the NFL has been criticized for being heavily racist, and there's a reason that they can get away with it, which I'll go into. But just to look into how deeply rooted their racism is, let me give you a quick breakdown of the ratios.
Okay.
This is of 2021.
Okay.
In 2021, we had 1,220 players that were people of color, basically everyone that is not white.
Okay.
Compared to only 432 players that are white. But in comparison, the head coaches, people of color, were only 3 compared to 26 white coaches. The remaining 3, because you have 32 teams, just remain to stay out of it. Then you go into head coaches and general managers. Now these are your top people in the NFL, minus the actual owners. In the past 12 years or so, 82% of head coaches were white. 84% of them were general managers. So when you look at the ratio between white and people of color, white men are dominating in that industry.
Okay.
And it continues. The reason you can break that barrier is because the NFL has a system of nepotism, which is, I did not know was an American thing.
No.
But it is. So they have a system of, if you're a head coach, if you're a general manager, you tend to pull people from your family. So, and I think this was either last year or between the last 10 years, 14% of coaches were relatives of the head coaches. And 34% of head coaches became head coaches because the previous head coaches were related to them. So nepotism is wild. So when you ask how can a person of color make it into a position of power, you can't, because unless you're somehow a black person that's somehow related to a white coach, it's just not going to happen for you. And the reason they get away with it, because people have protested. You've seen things like Kaepernick, but they don't. It doesn't matter. And the reason is the owners, who are all multi-billionaires, and they're associated with some of the biggest corporations in the world: Ford, hedge funds, oil industries. They're the upper echelon of corporations. Most of them are Republicans. They're old white men. White men. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 women, but also white. And they're mostly Republicans. So the amount of funding that goes into Republicans is crazy. So they can get away with whatever they want, because whenever the government comes or the judge comes, they can't do anything because they just pay some money and get it done.
All right. Funding. Okay, so I guess we'll leave it to you guys in the audience. Who is the worst dictator of sport? Vince McMahon, the exploiter of wrestlers' bodies or the NFL still keeping the black man down? Let us know on our socials. Feel free to reach out. We will always get back to you. And I think that's the end of the segment.
Yes. We'll wrap the show there. Thank you for joining us for this week's Work in Progress. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.